So there is a lot of tension now on the border between Belarus and Poland. And I'm like on Sputnik News right now, and I'm just scrolling through some of the titles. And one of them really caught my attention, and that's the one where the EU is considering sanctioning Aeroflot, the Russian national carrier. Now, Aeroflot is huge. It's the biggest airline in Russia. It has also a bunch of other like subsidiary airlines like Pobeda and Russia, which like a low-cost carrier, which is affiliated with Aeroflot. Anyway, the group is massive. They fly all over the place, and sanctioning them, sanctioning Aeroflot would be, man, it would just be, it would be on. It would definitely be on between Russia and the European Union. And all of this is because the narrative that's being floated by the EU is that this border crisis between Belarus and Poland is Putin's fault, is Russia's fault. And now they're saying that they're going to, that Aeroflot is at fault. That Aeroflot is a fault, and it's not Turkish Air, but it's Aeroflot that's flying the migrants into Turkey. Well, that's interesting because Aeroflot came out with a statement, and what did Aeroflot say? Well, Aeroflot say, you know what? We don't have flights going from Istanbul to Minsk. We don't have flights from Turkey to Minsk. We don't have flights running from Iraq and Syria to Minsk. So how could it be us? How could it be us is what they're saying. It's complete fiction. But the narrative is we need to blame Russia, because if we can put the blame on Russia, then no one's going to look at us and our shortcomings. This is what Aeroflot said in a statement. Information about the participation or assistance of Aeroflot PJSC in organizing the mass transportation of migrants to the territory of Belarus does not correspond to reality. The airline added that it is not performing flights to Iraq and Syria or from Istanbul to Minsk. We know that Turkish Air has flights that go from Istanbul to Belarus. They have more flights because the EU closed off all of the EU flights into Belarus. So there's no EU flights going into Belarus because of the whole Ryanair thing. So what did Belarus do? Well, they increased the airline flights, the traffic from Belarus to Russia and from Belarus to Turkey and to other countries. So they actually increased the flights because there were no more flights coming into Europe or coming from Europe because of EU sanctions and EU policy. So if anything, the EU policy towards Belarus, because of the Ryanair, increased the flights from Turkey to Belarus. And if Turkey is flying in migrants, well then increase the amount of migrants coming from Turkey into Belarus. So I mean, any which way you look at it, any way you turn it around, upside down, left, right, up, down, the EU's at fault. The EU is completely at fault, whether you look at 2015 or whether you look at Turkish flights into Belarus, whichever way you look at it, whatever is the reality behind this entire situation, the EU's at fault. This can be solved easily. Just pay Lukashenko to take care of the migrants like you pay Erdogan, right? Stop sanctioning Belarus, number one. Pay them to take care of the migrants. You pay Erdogan billions EU. Pay Lukashenko billions to take care of those migrants, to stop those migrants from entering the European Union. That's one way to solve it. Another way to solve it is to open up the airspace between Europe and Belarus, to allow European flights to enter Belarus, and then to go to Minsk, sit down with Lukashenko and say, you know what? We're opening up the airspace, we're opening up connections and flights into Belarus again, and we would like you to stop the flights from Turkey into Belarus. Or at least to put more, not to stop, put stricter restrictions, visas, and different requirements for flights coming in from Turkey to Belarus so that you can stop the migrant inflow from Turkey into Belarus. Once again, if that's the case, if migrants are being flown from Turkey to Belarus, Turkey denies it. Turkey denies it. So, we don't know. My hunch is that there's a certain amount of migrants that Turkey is flying into Belarus. I think it makes sense. But I also think there's a lot of migrants. I know as a fact there's a lot of migrants from the 2015 period, from Merkel's open door, everyone come into Europe policy, where when Merkel changed her mind, she said, oh crap, we got to stop the migrants now from coming in because I'm getting pummeled in the polls and people are pissed off at me. Then she went to Turkey, to Erdogan, and to Lukashenko, and she said, just hold those migrants in your country, please. And I think she was paying Lukashenko then. I bet you the EU made some sort of deal. Maybe a deal that they didn't want to publicize. We know she was paying Erdogan. We know that. She was paying Erdogan to hold those migrants. Erdogan openly admits it. I get billions from the EU to hold 3 million migrants in Turkey. He says it all the time. He uses it as leverage all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if the EU made a deal with Lukashenko as well. And they said, you know what, Lukashenko, hold those migrants. Maybe we'll give you money under the table. Maybe we'll give you X, Y, and Z, but hold those migrants. Because if those migrants come into Europe, then we're going to have political consequences, right? And when they started to sanction Belarus, Lukashenko said, F this. Why should I, number one, feed and house and take care of migrants in order to benefit the European Union and their leaders? And number two, be sanctioned by the EU. What's the benefit for me? It makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. And let's not also forget the migrants don't want to go to Poland. They don't want to stay in Poland. They want to go to Germany. They want to go from Belarus to Poland to Germany. So, look, it's really easy to solve this if they wanted to solve this, but they don't want to solve this. They're trying to create an iron curtain, a real iron curtain, a real divide between Russia and Europe. That's why they're now saying they might sanction Aeroflot. Can you imagine if they stopped flights of Aeroflot into Europe? Can you imagine the retaliation that Russia would come back with? It would be devastating. They would not allow European airplanes to fly over Russian territory. Think about that. That would be crushing. That would be crushing. No Russian tourists to Europe. Cyprus would implode. Greece would implode. Italy would implode. Spain would implode. All of the countries that rely on Russian tourists, they would sink. Absolutely sink. Not to mention whatever other trade is going on. I mean, it would be devastating to sanction Aeroflot. Devastating. Because Russia would retaliate and it would be painful for Europe. Absolutely painful for Europe. On the flip side, the cynical side of me, and I'll end it here, I'll end the video here. The cynical side of me says that this could all be part of the Build Back Better Great Reset plan as well. In a kind of weird way, the globalists are, hell-bent on climate, right? So they don't want people traveling anyway. So stopping the travel and the movement between Russia and Europe, stopping airlines from flying into Europe. I'm sure there are some globalist green nutcases that are saying, this is great. We'll stop a lot of the air traffic that's coming into Europe. And for the Build Back Better, it stops the flow of tourism. It stops the flow, the movement of people. And for them, that's a benefit because, less tourism, more people stay at home. It's a plus. It's a plus. They don't want the hotels full. They don't want the airlines full. They would like Russia to retaliate and say no European airlines could fly over Russia. That would mean, once again, less travel, less tourism, less CO2 emissions from the airplanes. But their private planes are fine. Their private planes are going to be okay to fly to Monaco and to the Greek islands and whatever. But, no airlines going over Russian territory from Europe, that would be great for them. So in a kind of weird way, I'm sure there's a lot of like Green New Deal nutcases in Davos and a lot of these Build Back Better Great Reset globalists that are probably looking at this saying, yeah, Ursula, sanction Aeroflot, no Russian airlines coming into Europe, and Russia will retaliate by not allowing EU airlines to fly over Russian territory, to enter Russian airspace. And there we would, cut back on carbon emissions. I mean, some twisted type of logic. I'm sure they're thinking of it. Less tourism, less hotel bookings. It would be great. I think they kind of would like that. Anyway, who knows? Who knows? Maybe that's something that motivates them as well. Either way, sanctioning Aeroflot would be devastating. It would crush Europe, and I don't suggest it. And this border conflict could be easily resolved. It really can be easily fixed. It's just a matter of whether the EU wants to fix it. The EU doesn't want to fix it. They don't want to talk with Lukashenko. They don't want to figure out a solution to this. They want to ramp up the rhetoric. They want to ramp up this crisis. Maybe they want a war. Maybe they want NATO funding. Who knows? If they want a war, well, they're in for a hell of a surprise by by poking the bear. I wouldn't suggest that either. But, maybe it's as innocent as we just want to create a big, a big drama here so that we could just, fund NATO some more 50 or 100 billion more into their coffers. Maybe it's something like that too. Maybe it's something as stupid as that. But look, Poland should not let the migrants in. But if Poland wants to take them to Germany, I wouldn't judge Poland. I would say, okay, Poland, if you want to put these migrants on a bus and drive them to Germany, who's to blame you? That's where they want to go. Take them there. But other than that, Poland should definitely not allow these migrants in. It's their right. They should do whatever they want to do. It's their border. It's their country. It's their right to do as they wish. Lukashenko, I don't think Lukashenko has an obligation to hold the migrants either. Maybe if the EU pays him, then maybe he can think about it. Other than that, the fact that he's getting sanctioned by the European Union and he's holding these migrants in his country, well, that's not a good deal for Lukashenko. As far as the whole Turkey thing and migrants to Belarus, I don't know. It makes sense that Turkish Airlines was flying migrants into Belarus. It makes sense. But I also think there were a lot of migrants from Angela Merkel's 2015 policy that were just hunkered down in Belarus as well. So it's probably a combination of both. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Either way, you could fix the whole Turkish thing by going to Lukashenko and saying, look, can you just put stricter visa restrictions on flights from Turkey into Belarus? And you can stop that inflow of migrants coming in from Turkey right away. But Belarus and Lukashenko would be like, okay, I'll do that. I'll put some stricter visa restrictions on these flights. Right now, I think they have 0 visa. They're just flying in without any type of visa. He could just put a visa restriction there. Done. If you're flying in from Turkey, any flights from Turkey, you have to go through border control, and people coming in from Turkey have to present a Turkish passport. And that Turkish passport only gives them 30 days in Belarus. That's it. And you have to register when you're in country so we know where you are. And after 30 days, you have to leave. They could do something like that. But Belarus would ask the EU to open up its airspace to Belarus again so that flights can resume. So, this is all the EU's fault. All of it is the EU's fault. That's the video, everybody. Go to the Duran.locals.com, go to the Duran shop, 10% off. Use the code REALNEWS down below. Super U, Rumble, BitChute, and ODYSEE is where you will find our videos on those platforms as well. Take care.